how do lawyers now future-proof themselves?
Okay, yes, it is going to take away that, but here's why we shouldn't worry.
This is going to be a fantastic networking and community opportunity for everybody involved.
They might see opportunity they didn't see before.
Myself and expert in legal tech, Sophie Best, are joining forces to bring to you the Global AI Skills Summit for Lawyers, a training space for lawyers to learn about how to leverage AI in their day-to-day work. In this episode, we're talking about exactly why we decided to create this online training event for lawyers and what this means for the legal industry. So, Sophie, why have we started building this AI Skills Summit for lawyers?
So I think everything that we've been doing just comes back to people. Like, it's interesting, I speak to lawyers daily about tech and AI, and actually the best conversations aren't about tech or AI. And I think at the moment what people are feeling is they're just feeling kind of bewildered, even if they're already kind of advanced as such. There's just so much out there. There's a million firms trying to sell to them. There are great events, but it's just like there's hundreds of vendors. And I think we're at that point now where instead of the question of, will we use it? There's this kind of person that stands in the middle and you don't know where to look. And I think because of that, we're almost at the next dilemma of AI, if you like. And I think the way to really fix it, I think, is community. And that's why I think this has gone so viral, because we're not trying to say to people, look at a product or this is why tech is good. We're actually trying to get people together to learn and to be able to kind of collaborate with their peers. And I think it's like human instinct. Humans want to deal with humans.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also, I guess you come at it from the legal tech side. So for you, it's like this is normal. But I come at it from the law side, and having worked in the industry using pen and paper files, and all this. And I'm over the last few months, having conversations with lawyers and seeing things in the news. And I was just like, I can't believe how quickly AI has kind of come round and how it's now literally taking over jobs, in terms of that announcement about Microsoft kind of making redundant their legal team, and obviously keeping key members and things because they're investing heavily in AI, and they know that they could use that to automate processes and make the legal processes more streamlined and just not use as many lawyers, I guess. And when things like that happen, I was just like, this is literally crazy. We need to do something about this, because lawyers are super worried. And as you say, having a community around it and building something that lawyers can feel a part of is absolutely key, I think, right now.
And it's building the trust with them.
We are getting inundated with people asking about the Global AI Skills Summit for Lawyers 2025. So due to demand, we're reopening access for just 24 hours only. Tickets will be $35 since we filled all the free spots. But the only way you'll know about the ticket release will be if you sign up to our ticket waitlist. The link will be in the show notes of this episode. And if you're on the ticket waitlist, you'll get access to an exclusive pre-networking event we are planning with our community. See you on the inside.
I mean, I actually spoke to a lawyer who likened it to when kind of the printers, all said, oh no, we'll never go from kind of hard copy print. And then obviously look at what happened. But then there's also the interesting kind of stats around the businesses that opened up. If you think of email, and I think I could kind of liken it to my experience. I sat with a friend actually who works for a big consulting firm, and she said to me, how are you so kind of at ease with all of this? How do you? And I said, you've got to remember, I've done it for 20 years. I was where you are now 20 years ago, sat with 30 bankers' boxes of documents in Linklaters' offices, trying to figure out where the hell we were going to go. And I had teams of associates and partners that were running these complex M&A deals, all of a sudden having to do things differently. So I think for me, I'm fortunate, actually. I like to think of it like that, because I don't feel as scared by it, because I've just grown up with it in my whole career. Whereas I think a lot of people, it's kind of only become massively apparent in the last few years. And that's also why I'm so passionate to kind of, I want other people to get to that point. And I believe that the only way to do that is education. It's by become us all kind of learning both the good and the bad. And I think that's the other thing at the minute. There's a lot of scaremongering. There's a lot of unuseful information out there. And I think that's also what we want to try and do. We want to try and kind of hone in on stuff that really is useful. Because if people are just kind of, if all we're hearing is stories of, oh, it's just going to take all of our jobs, that doesn't really help anyone. What we want is for people to say, okay, yes, it is going to take away that, but here's why we shouldn't worry. Here's why we should just make sure that we set ourselves up in the best possible way for X, because it's going to open up another avenue. And actually, what we need to now do is make sure that we learn, because the way I look at it now is the lawyers that train up and that educate themselves are going to be in a better position than the ones that don't. They're the ones that are going to have more opportunity, kind of like anything in life, really.
I've been having conversations with managing partners of law firms and even firms that are actually implementing AI and more switched on and forward thinking in that sense. And I've said to them, I've asked them all the same question: how do lawyers now future proof themselves? How do junior lawyers actually make themselves more competitive? And all of them told me the same thing. They said they need to learn how to leverage AI, they need to learn about tech, they need to learn how to add value to a law firm by utilizing their knowledge of processes, systems, becoming more of a well-rounded lawyer in that sense, becoming tapping into human skills like empathy and emotional intelligence. And the way that they can do that is by learning about AI and how to automate the processes that they don't need to be doing anymore. And so I think with all that said, we thought, okay, how can lawyers upskill themselves? Right, we're going to put together the best, most beneficial training, AI skills training that is actually practical, because there are so many conversations out there. There are so many webinars and events happening where everybody's talking about AI and how it can impact the future of law, but nobody is actually giving lawyers practical training on how to use AI in their day-to-day work, which is what we want to bring to the table.
Exactly. And I think if you think of legal, what we're seeing now is that value selling is becoming a thing. General counsels want to know from their law firms what they're doing for them. And I like to think, some of the sessions that we've been planning, if I was a partner at a law firm, I'd like to be thinking, well, do you know what? There's an M&A session, in there. And actually, rather than just the grunt work, the due diligence, which we know is important, deals wouldn't happen without it. But imagine if we don't just have associates sat with boxes of documents till 4 a.m. in the morning. People have been there. Actually, that then opens them up to be more strategic, because maybe it's not that they don't lose work because they now have 100 less review hours. Maybe it's actually that they sit and think, do you know what? We're not so kind of, half asleep that we can actually sit in a meeting together and look at the deal differently, or we can sit with the client and have a conversation. And maybe actually it's not just about a transaction. Maybe it's about that actually they might see opportunity they didn't see before, whether that be new markets or, again, I think we get so overwhelmed with the fact that AI is to kind of speed up review, speed up what lawyers do when they look at paper or online documents and cut the time down, when actually what we should be thinking about is how can we get more value out of that work. One of the things that I love, a lawyer actually said to me was, it's not about how to be faster, but how to be better. Because the better work that a law firm does, A, the more likely their client is going to stay, which is the one that retains them. And B, the more likely it is that they're going to get other work. This is what we're trying to do. And again, I think I said this, we want people to have information that's empowering, not just, okay, yeah, it is going to take away this element of really manual work. We want to make sure that they know that, but it's going to open up this. And that's then when lawyers stop being scared of it, because they're not thinking, well, hang on a minute, how am I going to prove my worth? Or how am I going to actually kind of show up? And that's what we want them to do. We want them to walk away from the sessions thinking, oh, I could actually have a better conversation with my client now. Like there's something that I've picked up, or I could go back and speak to my team and figure out how to maybe even just make them happier. Because if you think of it, you're managing partner of a law firm, if your associates and paralegals are happier, guess what? They're the people that you rely on. And I think we we forget, like you said, it's that human kind of empathy element. And I think this is a positive thing from kind of the grunt work of how law firms have worked for decades in
Hmm.
the billable hours and just looking at everything as a metric. I think that we're moving away from that, and what we want is to teach lawyers how they can start to pick up things to, to want to do that.
What do you think then? So I'm going to put this question to you.
Yeah.
A lawyer who's contemplating coming to the sessions, why do you think it is absolutely vital for them to attend this summit?
So I think the biggest thing is that we're bringing everything down to kind of storytelling. So I have sat in on millions of demos. I've done demos myself. I've been guilty of, I've worked as sales for tech companies. And I think one of the biggest problems is that AI and tech is typically sold as a feature. It's sold as okay, you want to automate contract review. This is how you create a contract. This is how you draft a contract. We're not doing any of that. We're bringing it into real life use cases. So no matter what lawyer you are, whether you're an M&A lawyer, a litigation, investigations, compliance, whether you're part of an innovation team, whether you're in-house, we want you to join this and actually hear kind of AI in relevance to stories, i.e., real use cases that lawyers have lived and breathed. Because then when you go back to your desk, it might not be straight away, but maybe it's in a week's time. Something comes up, and then you remember what you heard during that training session, and you're able to then think differently about it and hopefully bring something in that helps you in some way, because AI isn't always about doing everything, and Rome wasn't built in a day. It might just be about learning those little tips and tricks or best practice things that could just make your day go that little bit easier, help you give more value to your client. But like I said, it's about the stories. It's about it being relatable to the law, the daily work that lawyers do
Mm.
across the board.
I think for me, it's two things. I think one is basically what you said, but the fact that we're going to be giving practical tips and it covers a wide range of different areas. We've even now got a session for people who are more advanced and have more advanced knowledge in AI. We have sessions to help lawyers do very basic things, like I think things that I would have loved a session on, when I was working in law, about how to actually do day-to-day normal things that are not legal related, like managing your calendar, managing your diary, prioritizing a to-do list, working out how to respond to a really complicated email in like normal English, and just I don't know, just simple things like that. And we've got so many different sessions covering so many different areas. It's going to be beneficial for, like, one session is going to be at least beneficial for everyone because it's so wide and we're wanting to give so much value to everyone. And I think the other thing is community. We've got top people. Like, I was blown away with, honestly, the people who signed up, and I'm looking at the list and I'm like, what on earth? We've got people, top GCs from, you know Fortune 500 companies, top global companies, the biggest companies that you've literally ever heard of in the world, Magic Circle law firms, top 100 law firms. We've got, so many amazing people on that list. This is going to be a fantastic networking and community opportunity for everybody involved, right?
Yeah, and I think this is the thing. No one's really doing this. It's all about the value. There is a time and a place for everything else, but I think the key thing here is we're not trying to do what is already done globally in the kind of traditional legal tech conferences, which is more vendor led. We're actually doing the complete opposite and being lawyer led, actually.
Mm.
And looking at, okay, well, how can lawyers learn from other lawyers? And then also bringing in the tech experts so that we can kind of join the dots. And actually, I don't think many people do that. You've got lawyers that talk in their little group, you've got tech companies that talk in theirs. And that's the community part. That's the part that's kind of bringing everyone together, but in a way that feels natural and kind of unpressured. And I think that's why all these people have been signing up.
It's been amazing. We've had an amazing response. We've had so many messages of people saying, thank you for doing this, and they're excited and they're really looking forward to it. They want to help. Like, so many messages. It's so great. And we've got over 1,000 lawyers, like over 1,030 to be precise,
Yeah.
on the list. It's crazy. So I'm very, very excited for it. And I think you are too, aren't you?
Yeah, me too. And even speaking to tech companies, even the feedback from them are actually, I think what you're doing is great because you're breaking things down for lawyers in a way that we aren't really able to. Again, it just kind of shows that the whole ecosystem needs this because it is an ecosystem effectively, and it's one that's just too siloed at the minute. But I think again, it all comes down to people because that's what our focus is. And I think it doesn't matter kind of best AI in the world. One of the core fundamental aspects of it is it doesn't work if you don't look at people and processes. And I think, that's kind of a nice thing that we've got at the center of it, which I also think is what kind of drives the appetite, if you like.